You know that really specific modern flavor of anxiety?
Hmm.
Like when your phone buzzes with an unexpected text or, I don't know, a sudden calendar invite?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That instant drop in your stomach.
Right. And instead of feeling, connected to the world, your brain immediately just goes into full threat assessment mode.
You're suddenly playing detective. Like, is this actually my bank or is this a trap?
Exactly. We are constantly evaluating if we're about to step into some sort of digital bear trap, and that is exactly why we're doing this deep dive today.
It's a really timely topic, honestly.
It really is. So today we are unpacking this super fascinating document from Rhino's Cybersecurity, and they're a proudly Canadian firm, by the way.
Which I love. They even have this very fitting rhinoceros logo on the cover.
They do. It's great. So they published this targeted guide on the threats that are currently circulating online. Now, if you look at the cover, it's actually titled "The 7 Things Every Adult Over 60 Should Watch Out For Online."
Right. It has a very specific target demographic.
Yeah, but looking through this material, and I mean really reading it, it becomes immediately clear that this isn't just about, helping your grandparents set up a secure password.
Not at all. I mean, the demographic targeting totally makes sense given certain vulnerabilities, sure.
But the core mechanics, right?
Yeah.
Like, they apply to everyone.
Universally applicable, yes.
Yeah.
What we're really looking at here is basically a masterclass in how attackers weaponize human nature.
It's a great way to put it.
Yeah, they don't need you to be technically illiterate, They just need you to be distracted. Or maybe stressed out, or just overly trusting for, 3 seconds.
3 seconds is all it takes to click a link.
Exactly. The premise of the whole guide is that you and we don't need computer science degrees to navigate this stuff.
It's not about being a hacker to beat a hacker.
No, it's about pattern recognition. Once you understand the behavioral blueprints these attackers are using, their power kind of just evaporates.
Which is incredibly empowering for the listener, really. So the document organizes these threats by looking at the emotional levers being pulled. And the most aggressive lever they talk about is trust.
Trust is a massive one. It's the foundation of so many attacks.
Right. And the source highlights this fascinating dichotomy in how that trust is exploited. It starts with an attack that relies entirely on, blistering speed and instant panic.
You're talking about deepfakes.
Yes, deepfakes. I mean, we all know what they are, right? Synthetic media, AI-generated faces and voices. But the Rhino Guide focuses on how they are weaponized as what they call the lying mirror.
Yeah, the application here is highly specific and, honestly, deeply malicious.
It's terrifying.
It really is. Because attackers aren't just making, funny parody videos anymore. They're actively scraping audio from social media to clone the voice of loved ones.
Usually a child or a grandchild, according to the document.
Exactly. And then they fabricate this high-stakes emergency. They call you sounding exactly like your relative, claiming they've been in a terrible accident or they're in legal trouble.
And of course, they need money wired instantly.
Right. Immediately. There's always a rush.
But, I've always wondered about the efficacy of that. Because realistically, generative AI still leaves artifacts, doesn't it?
It does, yes. It's not perfect.
Right, like if you look closely at a video deepfake, the skin texture is completely unnatural or the blink rate is slightly off.
Yeah, the eyes are a big giveaway.
And with synthetic audio, the cadence often falls into this robotic rhythm or the breathing sounds super artificial. So how are people consistently missing these technical glitches?
Well, it really comes down to cognitive overload.
Cognitive overload.
Yeah. I mean, if I sit here and play you an audio clip of a stranger and say, hey, find the AI glitches, you're going to easily spot them.
Sure, because I'm looking for them.
Right. But if you answer the phone and hear your daughter screaming that she's in a hospital, your brain doesn't just casually analyze the audio fidelity.
Oh, wow. Yeah, of course not.
The sheer terror initiates what psychologists call an amygdala hijack.
An amygdala hijack. So the emotional response literally short-circuits the analytical part of the brain.
That is the scammer's entire strategy right there. They keep you in a state of absolute distress.
Because if you calm down, the illusion breaks.
Exactly. The perceived threat is so overwhelming that you completely ignore the unnatural pause in the sentence or that slight metallic distortion in the voice. You are reacting to the crisis, not the medium.
That makes total sense.
Yeah.
So the defense can't really be technological, right? Because our brains are already compromised in that moment.
Right. You can't outthink it when you're panicked.
So the document suggests a behavioral circuit breaker, which I love, the family code word.
It's such a simple but brilliant strategy.
It really is. It's just a piece of shared knowledge established ahead of time that acts as a secure handshake.
It takes this incredibly sophisticated technological attack and just neutralizes it with analog security.
I love that. Analog security.
Yeah. If that panicked voice on the phone doesn't know the phrase you agreed upon at Thanksgiving, you immediately terminate the connection. Just hang up.
It's a hard reset for the brain. It pulls you right out of that emotional spiral.
Totally.
But, okay, so if deepfakes rely on this massive, sudden spike in panic, the guide actually juxtaposes this with an attack that takes the exact opposite approach.
Ah, yes, the slow burn manipulation.
Right. The fake profile, or what the document calls the digital mask.
This requires a very different kind of patience from the attacker.
It really does. Instead of a frantic phone call, they clone an existing social media account by scraping public photos, or they just fabricate a completely new persona from scratch.
And their objective isn't instant money. They want to slowly weave themselves into your digital social fabric over weeks or even months.
Which is wild to me. It seems like such a massive investment of time just to eventually ask for money or extract personal details.
It is, but the payoff can be huge for them.
Right. Now, the guide points out a few structural red flags for these,
Yeah.
like an account having almost zero photo history or lacking mutual connections.
Those are definitely the technical tells.
But the real tell seems to be the behavioral pattern. Like they message you out of nowhere, and the conversation is instantly saturated with excessive flattery.
Oh, the flattery is a highly effective, disarming tool. It acts as an emotional anesthetic.
An emotional anesthetic. I like that phrasing.
Yeah, because when someone is just showering you with compliments, it creates a subtle sense of obligation. It lowers your natural defenses.
And then you're far less likely to notice when their questions pivot, right?
Exactly. They go from benign small talk to targeted inquiries about your financial situation or your family structure.
So the flattery is essentially the camouflage for the reconnaissance they are doing on you.
It hides their true intent perfectly. And, the most insidious version of this is when they clone the account of someone you actually know.
Oh, like when you get a new friend request from a lifelong friend.
Right. The instinct is to just accept it and assume, well, they must have gotten locked out of their old account.
Which the Rano Guide explicitly warns against.
Yes, very strongly.
The protocol here is to shift the communication channel. If your friend sends a new request, you don't message that new profile to confirm.
No, because you'd just be talking to the scammer.
Exactly. You call their physical phone number to verify. You go out of band to establish truth.
Moving the verification outside the compromised ecosystem is a principle that applies across almost all of these threats, actually.
Yeah, and that idea of moving outside the ecosystem leads perfectly into the second major category of the document.
The authority category.
Right. If scammers can't exploit our love and trust through personal connections, they will leverage our inherent deference to authority.
They switch from personal impersonation to institutional impersonation.
We're moving from the heart to the panic button, basically.
The underlying psychology is identical, but the mask changes.
So instead of a family member in distress, the threat comes wrapped in the authority of the government, or a massive retail chain, or your postal service.
It's designed to trigger a compliance reflex. We are trained to obey authority.
And we see this most clearly with phishing.
Right.
The classic malicious email. The guide refers to this as the hook.
Right, the hook.
Now, we all know the basic premise of phishing, but what really stands out in this material is the evolution of the tactic.
They've gotten so much better at it.
They really have. Yeah. These aren't the poorly spelled, ridiculous emails of the early internet anymore. The visual mimicry of official correspondence is nearly perfect.
Yeah, the visual assets like logos, formatting, color palettes, those are trivial to copy now.
It's basically a copy-paste job.
Exactly. And attackers rely on the fact that most users process visual cues as proof of authenticity.
If it looks like my bank, it must be my bank.
Right, so the email will declare a manufactured crisis. A package could not be delivered, or there is an urgent pending fine that requires immediate attention.
And conveniently, the solution is always just one click away.
Always. Just click here to fix it.
But spotting the hook requires looking past that glossy veneer, right? You have to inspect the architecture of the message itself. And the guide points directly to the sender's actual email address.
Because that is the one piece of the illusion they cannot fake perfectly.
It's a chink in the armor.
Yeah. An email claiming to be from a national postal service will often have a sender address populated with a chaotic string of alphanumeric characters.
Or domain that slightly misspells the official institution, like a 0 instead of an O.
Exactly. It's always a little off.
So the defense here aligns with what we discussed earlier about going out of band.
Right, leaving the ecosystem.
If there is a tiny voice in your head wondering like, hey, maybe I actually do owe a fine, the protocol is never to use the navigation provided by the email.
Never click the link.
You open a new browser window, you manually search for the official entity, and you log into your account directly. You completely bypass their custom-built trap.
By doing that, you are retaining control of the routing.
Retaining control, I like that.
And this becomes even more critical when we look at the text message equivalent, which the cybersecurity industry calls smishing.
Ah, yes. Fake bank messages via SMS or WhatsApp. Honestly, these are arguably more effective than emails.
They absolutely are.
Because our relationship with our text inbox is just so immediate. We expect text to be urgent.
We check them within seconds, usually.
Right. So the message claims your account is blocked or there's suspicious movement, and they provide a link to resolve it. But the detail I find most fascinating here is the artificial time constraint.
The ticking clock.
Yes, there's almost always a ticking clock. Respond within 24 hours or your account will be suspended.
This is where we see attackers actively exploiting cognitive biases.
Oh, really? How so?
Well, the psychologist Daniel Kahneman famously described the brain as having two systems.
Okay, System 1 and System 2.
Exactly. System 1 is fast, instinctive, and emotional. System 2 is slower, deliberate, and logical.
So the scammers are targeting System 1?
Precisely. The entire architecture of a smishing text, the threat to your money, combined with a strict deadline, is engineered to force you into System 1 thinking.
Wow. They want you acting on pure instinct before System 2 can boot up and realize, wait a minute, a legitimate bank wouldn't operate this way.
They are deliberately suffocating your critical thinking with urgency.
Suffocating critical thinking? That's intense.
That is the mechanism of the attack. They provide a link that leads to a perfect replica of your bank's login screen.
And the moment you type your credentials to verify your identity,
You are handing over the keys to the vault.
which makes the countermeasure incredibly simple, but probably really hard to execute in a moment of panic.
It takes discipline, for sure.
The guide states definitively that banks do not send login links via text message. It simply is not a legitimate practice.
Nope, never.
But if that System 1 panic sets in, the Rhino Guide offers this brilliant physical grounding exercise.
I love this piece of advice so much.
Me too. You basically ignore the digital prompt entirely. You take your physical debit or credit card out of your wallet, flip it over, and dial the toll-free number printed on the back.
It's brilliant because it's a physical action.
Right. I find that so powerful. The tactile act of holding the plastic card and dialing the hard-coded number breaks the digital spell.
It forces System 2 logic back online.
Yes. And keeping things anchored in the physical world is also the ultimate defense against the final threat in this authority category, cold calling,
Oh, the deceptive phone call.
where someone claims to be tech support from Microsoft, Apple, or Google. They call you completely unprompted to warn you that your machine is infected with a virus.
Or that it's actively being compromised right in that moment.
The audacity of this attack is wild to me.
It's very aggressive.
It's essentially like a random guy running up to you in a grocery store parking lot, screaming that your car's engine is about to explode, and demanding you hand over your keys right then and there so he can fix it for you.
That is a phenomenal analogy, because handing over the keys is the literal objective here.
Right. They use the fabricated threat of a virus to convince you to install remote access software.
They claim they need to take control of your mouse and keyboard to neutralize the threat.
And once that connection is established, they have unrestricted access to your file system, your saved passwords, your financial documents.
It's a complete system compromise facilitated purely by social engineering.
But the logic test here is straightforward, right? Microsoft does not proactively monitor your individual laptop's health and dispatch agents to call your home.
The infrastructure required for that doesn't even exist.
It would be impossible.
The sheer scale makes it an absurdity. But again, the attacker is relying on the victim's lack of technical confidence.
If they can make you doubt your own understanding of how computers work, you'll defer to their asserted authority.
Exactly. So the Rhino Guide's advice is definitive. Just hang up.
Hang up the phone.
Yes. And if the interaction leaves you genuinely concerned about the health of your machine, you physically unplug it and take it to a local trusted technician.
Bring the problem back to the tangible world.
Exactly. Keep it physical.
Okay, so we've mapped out how attackers manipulate our deepest emotional ties and how they weaponize our fear of authority.
Love and fear, the big two.
Right. But the document shifts gears in its final section to address vulnerabilities that are far more subtle.
And honestly, much more common in our daily lives.
Yeah, these threats don't rely on panic at all. They rely on our natural inclination toward temptation and our desire for frictionless convenience.
We are looking at the exploitation of optimism and complacency here.
Let's talk about threat number 6. It covers investment scams and fake prizes.
This is where the emotional lever is just the promise of sudden, effortless wealth.
We see the advertisements constantly, don't we? They promise unprecedented returns on cryptocurrency or gold.
Or you receive a notification that you've won a luxury sweepstakes from a recognizable brand.
Congratulations, you're a winner. But the architecture of these scams always hinges on one specific mechanism: the advance fee.
The advance fee trap, yes.
The underlying logic of the scam is that the massive payout is locked behind a minor administrative hurdle.
Right. They inform you that your prize is ready, but you need to wire a processing fee or cover the upfront taxes to release the funds.
Now, this seems straightforward to avoid, but I imagine it gets complicated for people who actively participate in online contests, right?
It definitely blurs the lines for them.
Like, if entering sweepstakes is your actual hobby, how do you mathematically distinguish a legitimate win from a highly targeted scam?
The differentiator is absolute, and it's right there in the source material.
What is it?
A legitimate organization operating a contest will never, ever require the winner to pay an upfront fee directly to the sender to claim a prize.
Never.
Never. Taxes on winnings are handled through government revenue agencies, not via a wire transfer to the sweepstakes organizer.
So if you have to pay money to receive money,
The transaction is fraudulent. End of story.
it's the ultimate zero-risk fallacy. If an investment guarantees massive returns with zero downside, it's defying the basic laws of economics.
The internet simply does not function as a spontaneous generosity machine.
I wish it did, but it doesn't. Which brings us to the final vulnerability on the Rhino list, and this one is entirely about our demand for constant, frictionless connectivity.
Public Wi-Fi.
Public Wi-Fi. The document labels this the invisible microphone.
And this is arguably where people are the most complacent.
Because it's just so easy. You walk into an airport, a hotel lobby, or a coffee shop, and you open your settings.
You see a network labeled free internet or guest Wi-Fi.
It doesn't require a password. There's no encryption key. You just tap it and you're online.
The convenience is incredible, but the analogy of an invisible microphone is deeply unsettling.
It really is.
Yeah.
Because we often think of our connection to a website as a private tube between our phone and the server.
Right, like a secure tunnel.
But connecting to an open passwordless network fundamentally changes how your data travels.
It completely alters the transmission model. It's less like a private telephone line and much more like a walkie-talkie.
Wait, really? Like a walkie-talkie? So it's basically just broadcasting?
Exactly. When you are on an unencrypted public network, your device is broadcasting your data packets into the surrounding airwaves.
So anyone sitting in that same coffee shop who has software tuned to listen to that network traffic
Can passively intercept what you are transmitting, yes.
Wow. So if you decide to check your bank balance while waiting for your flight, you aren't just sending your password to your bank?
No, you are effectively broadcasting your credentials across the terminal for anyone with a packet sniffer to collect.
That is terrifying.
You are operating without a secure barrier.
So what's the fix? Because I need the internet at the airport.
Well, the Rhino Guide is very pragmatic here. It isn't suggesting you completely boycott public networks.
Okay, good.
It is about categorizing your behavior based on the threat environment. It advises using these open connections strictly for low-stakes activities.
Like what? Reading the news, checking the weather.
Exactly. Streaming a video, low-stakes data.
So consuming data is fine, but transmitting sensitive data is the vulnerability.
Right. You never log into financial institutions, you never process a credit card transaction, and you avoid entering primary passwords while relying on a public connection.
You save the high-stakes traffic for your secured home network or your cellular data.
It is a boundary of operational security. You have to actively choose when to transmit value.
It is a really striking adjustment to how we view our daily digital habits.
It changes everything once you realize how exposed you are.
Looking at the full spectrum of this Rhino cybersecurity guide, from the amygdala hijack of a deepfake to the slow manipulation of a fake profile.
The System 1 panic of smishing texts.
Right, and the audacity of tech support cold calls, the advanced fee traps of fake prizes, and the walkie-talkie broadcast of public Wi-Fi. The document synthesizes all of this into one operational philosophy.
It establishes a singular golden rule for digital navigation.
And that rule is,
If any interaction feels unusually urgent, highly emotional, or simply too good to be true, you must stop and verify first.
Stop and verify. It's about breaking the momentum that the entire scam relies upon.
Exactly. You have to break the momentum.
Whether that means demanding a family code word, flipping your bank card over to dial the hard-coded number, or manually typing a web address instead of clicking a link.
The goal is to shift yourself out of the attacker's control environment.
You force the interaction back onto your terms.
Because look, the underlying technology will inevitably iterate.
Oh, for sure. The generative AI powering deepfakes will become indistinguishable from reality.
And the phishing emails will become increasingly personalized.
But the psychological vectors, the reliance on urgency, fear, and manufactured trust, those will remain constant.
Recognizing the emotional manipulation is the ultimate firewall.
And this underscores exactly why we unpack this document today. The tactics are so sophisticated that understanding these patterns is essential for everyone.
Regardless of your technical background.
Exactly. It's knowledge that needs to be actively shared within your family network. Establish that code word today. Have the conversation about the bank card.
You know, if we step back and look at the broader implications of this guide, it actually raises a really fascinating sociological question.
Oh, what do you mean?
Well, the Rhino document was explicitly designed for adults over the age of 60, a demographic often stereotyped as uniquely vulnerable simply because they didn't grow up natively using this technology.
Right, there is this widespread assumption that digital natives like millennials and Gen Z are inherently immune to these traps.
Yet, consider the operational habits we've discussed today.
Okay.
Younger generations are so deeply embedded in the digital ecosystem that they often operate on total cognitive autopilot.
Oh, wow. Yeah, they process notifications instantly, they click links rapidly,
And they connect to public networks without a second thought.
just totally trusting the infrastructure.
Because the environment feels so native to them, they might actually lack the healthy skepticism that an older adult naturally brings to a new technological interaction.
That is such a good point. It really challenges us to ask, is it possible that absolute comfort and complacency rather than age is actually the scammer's greatest weapon?
I think it very well might be.
That completely reframes the entire discussion. It implies that the moment you feel entirely safe and comfortable online is the exact moment you are most exposed.
It's not about your technical literacy, it's about whether your guard is up.
So the next time your phone buzzes with an urgent demand and you feel that familiar spike of adrenaline, recognize the trap.
Step back.
Remember the golden rule. Stop, take a breath, and verify first.